In London, climate activists smashed windows to mark Earth Day. In Jakarta, protesters staged a flash mob dance. They're calling for bold action amid dire warnings from scientists that we're running out of time to save the planet from the worst effects of climate change. Here in Washington, the US President Joe Biden is hosting a virtual summit of world leaders and announced plans for a big increase in America's emission-cutting targets.
The United States sets out on the road to cut greenhouse gases in half by the end of this decade. That's where we're headed as a nation. And that's what we can do if we take action to build an economy that's not only more prosperous, but healthier.
This is not all about some expensive, politically correct green act of bunny hugging. This is about growth and jobs.
Around 40 world leaders are taking part in this virtual summit, including China, which reaffirmed its commitments to achieve carbon neutrality by 2060. The Russian President, Vladimir Putin, vowed to significantly cut net emissions by 2050 without setting a concrete goal. Ireland is represented at the summit by the Minister for the Environment, Eamon Ryan. In his climate action bill, the government has committed to carbon neutral status by no later than the end of 2050.
We're putting our hand up. We're willing to play our part, and we will gain from it. Very specifically, I would be saying that Ireland has had a really good record in development aid. We support climate adaptation and resilience, particularly in developing countries, like South Africa.
On Capitol Hill, teen climate activist Greta Thunberg testified virtually before Congress.
It is the year 2021. The fact that we are still having this discussion, and even more that we are still subsidizing fossil fuels directly or indirectly using taxpayer money, is a disgrace.
Eloquent way that did at the beginning, and of course,
like all virtual gatherings these days, Joe Biden's climate summit had a few technical glitches today.
Mr. Prime Minister, I'm not sure we're hearing you here.
Despite this, there were lots of big promises once the unmute buttons had been hit.
Our annual projection.
Well, let's go live to Brian in Washington now to talk some more about this. Brian, ambitious targets all around there, but is the political will there as well?
The political will, I think, from the leaders is there. For many of them, though, the concern would be selling it to maybe sceptical electorates. It was interesting to hear some of the words coming from Joe Biden and Boris Johnson speaking about how this isn't, as Boris Johnson put it, bunny hugging. It isn't about maybe traditional views of environmentalism. It's about jobs. It's about creating prosperity. It's about the economy. And that's what they were very much pushing there for those out there that may feel that going down this route would damage traditional jobs, particularly here in the US, where you have the Republican side very strong and very anti some of these measures that they would feel would damage oil production, would damage coal, those core older industries here in the US. So from that perspective, Joe Biden could well have a battle on his hands when it comes to getting some of these measures through Congress. Interesting to see world leaders like Xi Jinping and Vladimir Putin on this call. Joe Biden, as we know, since he took office, hasn't had the best of relations with China or Russia. They did accept his invite, however, to appear virtually at this summit. Some concerns out there, however, that the likes of Russia, China and India, very big polluters, didn't announce any new measures today. Rather, they just rehashed old commitments and recommitted to figures and targets that they had previously set. I think that big thing for Joe Biden today was to come back out onto the world stage and tell the world that America is back. We want to be a global leader again when it comes to climate change, because remember, of course, his predecessor, Donald Trump, removed the US from the Paris Climate Accord.
All right, Brian, thanks for that.